Okay. Get your drum, get your instrument. We're going to start with a couple minutes of global drumming on Zoom. You're muted, so you're hearing our pulse. And we're going to do some Zoom facilitation. It's very cool. Okay, we're going to pass the pulse to you, Edmonton, Canada. Be ready, Deborah. Here we go. So when we pass the pulse to you, you'll be unmuted and you'll take a 4-bar phrase and then it'll come back to us. Here we go, Deborah. Go. Okay, Hamburg. Love it. Okay, Vienna. The Gitti is in Vienna, I think. How come she's muted?
What ain't working?
Back to the beat. Four, three, two, one, rumble. Keep rumbling. I'm going to unmute you guys so we can all hear each other. Unmute, rumble.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes, but I'm going to mute you all now so we can start the call. Okay, welcome to this seminar on tips for your drum circle business. And I'm Christine Stevens, the founder of UpBeat Drum Circles and the author of Music Medicine.
Hi, I'm Andrew Belinsky. I'm the founder of Nama Stage and Expression Tribe. Glad to be here.
Love it. And we are here live at the UpBeat Drum Circles office, ready to connect with you all today in this exciting topic, really important topic. How do we have success running our drum circle business? And I know a lot of people are going to be watching the recording of this, so thanks for being part of this call. I also have 7 guests that are here that are going to give you their tips. Oh, okay, I'll be happy to get my headset, so it'll be better volume. And if you haven't done so yet, please type in the chat bar your name and where you're calling from. We love seeing who's here. I'll plug in so the volume will get better. 1 second. Okay, how's that?
Pretty good, thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Give me a thumbs up if it sounds better. Okay, good. All right. So the structure of this call today is I'm going to share 7 tips from my experience. All of this comes from my direct experience. The reason I like to do mentoring programs and involve us all in these, workshops for business skills is because you can't just go to your usual business development workshop. What we do is very unique. And so I wanted to put together this PowerPoint for you today, but also to invite people that could come on this call and give you guys a lot of cool suggestions of ways that you can get involved in developing your business. So let me get right into the content today. All right. So basically, to me, this work is a total hero's journey, right? We're called to this work. In the hero's journey, there's 4 stages according to Joseph Campbell: the call, answering the call, slaying the dragons. Anybody know about that one? And then getting the treasure. And then coming back home. You know, the hero always comes home and shares the gifts of what the hero has learned out in the quest. So you are joining people like, you know, look who's on the screen. So you're like a Skywalker, a Jedi, Dorothy on a journey, Harrison Ford, Harry Potter, you're a magician. These are all skills you're going to need in this work. Joseph Campbell says when you step onto the path of your bliss, 4 things happen. First, you meet the people you're supposed to meet. Secondly, you put yourself on the path of luck. Third, doors open for you that don't open for anyone else. And 4, doors appear where there were no doors before. So welcome to the path of luck. So before we go into my 7 tips, I do want to mention an exciting offer that I put together. We are absolutely right now uploading this course on Teachable. We made a self-study course of deeper study of marketing, promotion, selling, and identifying your niche in this marketing course that I'll send you guys a coupon for half price until that offer will go till October 8th, which is a cool date to remember, 8/8/18. So the reason I put together this course is I do have a mentoring program and a mastermind program, and we do calls on Zoom, but I wanted to make a course for people that don't line up with the 9 months enrollment period. So this is a self-study of these 4 key elements, and I'll tell you more about that. And that's the live calls. And this is my main thought about why I do this. I want to highlight this. You can see working in the field is the greatest teacher. I mean, you know, just doing this work is a constant workshop, isn't it? Secondly, we're all capable of learning these skills. We have to learn these skills. Marketing, selling, promoting, organizing. Self-employment is a personal growth workshop. That's why I'm so passionate about it. I feel like I've really transformed in the inner world through doing this work in the world. And lastly, yes, we want to balance being of service, but also honoring correct compensation for the value of our craft. Today, I'm going to show you some general fee menus that I've been researching. So tip number 1, we'll go through 7 of these. And then my special guests, be ready to have your 2-minute tips to the group. The first one is marketing. My tip is that we are in market creation. We are not in market fulfillment, right? We don't see jobs for drum circle facilitators in the newspaper. We are in market creation. The trick about that means, The trick about that means that you are going to be creating your market. You are going to be finding those things that, you know, what is my market? You have to do the visioning work of that. And that takes some work, right? That takes a little bit of, okay, what is it I want to share? What is my focus in my marketing? So I ask these questions to you. You know, what is your market? Can you write that in the chat bar now? You can't do everything. You know, I teach people there's branching when we're sort of getting known. We're starting out, we're taking every gig. And then there's pruning. Some of you are at the pruning stage. You're focusing, you're niching. And some of us are in the trunking stage. Trunking is when we actually add a whole new tree. We have contract facilitators that work under our umbrella, or we train others, training the trainers. I'm really an advocate of getting testimonials. So I want to say just for a minute, how do you get testimonials? The best thing is having a little card to pass out at the end of your program, hand it to every person, make sure there's pens available, have every person write down one sentence what they're taking with them from the program. You can pre-make these cards. I have a big, big pile I print of them with my information on them. And that will always give you testimonials. You can also film someone. Someone walks up to you at the end of a program. Oh my God, that was the best team building program I've ever had. Could you say that on camera for me? Let me just grab my phone. Okay. I do this with seniors. They're not going to sit down and write their comment cards. I can audio record them if they don't want to give permission to use their face. I just use my smartphone. Voice memo. Could you tell me how you feel after the program today? Now I'm going to take that audio file and email it to the director of the center. These are so powerful because when we get a testimonial, we build credibility. And lastly, 20% of any corporate budget is marketing. So to me, that translates as 20% of my time, because time is my money as a self-employed person. I don't have a big budget, but I do have time. So try to think about, what would it look like if I spent 20% of my time on marketing? I did a little more marketing. Lastly, I want to show you in tip number 1, how many of you know about vision boards? Raise your hand if you've ever done a vision board or heard of it. So this is a way that I've really worked on market creation. What is the market I want to create? Here's my vision board. And a lot of this has come true. It's just taking time to go through magazines, organizing it, and then being able to look at it and tag back in with yourself. Yeah, what is the market I'm creating? What I love about this is it's a business plan for creative people. It's a business plan for artistic people. In one snapshot, I see my business plan. Tip number 2. The challenge in our field is that we have to overcome some negative stereotypes. People think drum circles are hippies, they're free, you just do them in the park, why would you pay for them? So we have to be really brief, concise, tend to the way you communicate. This is not a time for wild creativity. Right? This is a time to be super professional. And what is kind of unfortunate at this stage, we are rebranding our work. We're rebranding it. It's building. Every one of you who does a successful gig is rebranding us as a field. And I'm excited about DCFG, what they're doing, the Drum Circle Facilitators Guild, to help brand us as well. But we have to be beyond professional. We have to be early at the event, because we are going to overcome stereotypes. Third, like I said, some of us are pruning, some of us are branching, some of us are trunking. Pruning is when you're really starting to say, what is my niche? Where am I most uniquely qualified to step in? You're going to hear from Mary Tolina. She had a huge history of working in corporate business. She's a great person to facilitate team building. She knows businesses and operations. Please don't negate your previous career and your credentials. I've been recently in my mentoring group, I've been rewriting everyone's bio. And so many people remove their credentials because they say, well, it doesn't matter that I'm a lawyer. I now run a drum circle company, John Crowder. Yes, put your initials, John Crowder, JD, which he does. Jenny Swerdlow puts her credentials as an art therapist and a counselor. Put those credentials, even if it's from a different field. Letters are always a good thing after your name. Tip number 4, don't call it a drum circle. This is a really big curveball. If you want to get paid, don't say, I'll come and do a drum circle. It's $2,000, because people think drum circle, that's the thing people do in the park and it's free. So name it. And I thought we would just take a breath together and take a moment for people to post on the chat bar some of the names of your programs. When I started in this work, I worked together with a guy in the East Coast, Barkey, and we worked for a company called Beats Works. The name, I mean, the program name was Beats Works. Very creative because, again, they're selling a program. They're not selling a drum circle, they're selling a program. This is your chance to be wildly creative within the parameters of something that sounds good. And I want to show you a quick example of a workshop description I recently used at a conference on spirituality and mindfulness in mental health and recovery treatment. And the title is Reviving Rhythms. It's not drum circles. I even use group drumming as my title, subtitle. And you can see the write-up. Almost always in my descriptions, I end with 2 key sentences. No prior experience necessary, drums provided. Or bring your own. So how you write something up is really critical in your business and in your marketing. Tip number 5, know the buzzwords of needs and benefits. This is a key formula for you. And we tend to talk up drum circles. They're amazing, there's science to support it in healthcare, everybody has fun. That's the benefits. And I'm speaking them in my internal drum circle language. But what if I speak the benefits by answering a need? I know that right now in your startup company, there are many different languages. There's a lot of people getting to know each other in a fast changing marketplace. You have people working from home, and then they come together to try to get to know each other. This program, Reviving Rhythms, is an icebreaker that allows people to build relationships, boost morale, and have a sense of increased camaraderie and excitement. Now, I always say 3 benefits. It's really ridiculous to try to talk about the 10,000 things drumming does for the team. What's the need? I identified 3 needs. Now I've hooked you in my benefits. 3 just seems to be a universally buzzy way to talk about things. I guess it has to do with our brains. So I put some buzzwords on this, but I want you to put in the chat bar some of the buzzwords of your field. Some of you work in education, healthcare, addiction and recovery, corporate. You know, I just saw Arthur Hall's post on the drum circle list this morning from his training in Whiston Lodge, Scotland. Maybe some of you were there. Lucky you guys. I'll be there teaching music medicine next year in May. I love Paul and the Whiston Lodge space. And maybe you saw on his list of who came to the training, I thought this is a primer for buzzwords. He wrote people working with special needs, people in corporate, people are music teachers. You know, it had a whole list. You guys saw that on the drum circle listserv this morning. So write down the words that are buzzwords. That's the language of needs and benefits. There's even buzzwords for needs. Like I'm in the field of wellness primarily is my expertise. And right now I'm really playing up the sort of politic burnout. People are, in America at least, people are having a lot of burnout and exhaustion of all the division, divisiveness. There's a lot of tension in politics in our country right now and fighting, and this is causing stress. So I'm playing up that need. We need to get off the screen. We need to reduce our stress. So I think I've talked enough about that. I'm going to read all your chat bar comments when I hand them over to the next people, but I have just 2 more tips. Okay, tip 6. I thought I would just really dive into the elephant in the room. What do you charge? Right? Because this is a topic for us. You're building your drum circle business. You're going to be asked, what do you charge? Remo Belli, the founder of Remo Drum Company, who was my mentor for 4 years, while I worked there, developing the wellness division and health rhythms, always said this to me: all selling is teaching. So if you take nothing else away from this webinar, all selling is teaching. So before you sell, explain. I'd like to explain what I do. You have to just really give people the education of what it is we do, not in our internal language, in the outer language. I use drums because it's hard for people to play piano in a circle. I use drums because it's a universal language. It's simple, it's kinesthetic, it involves the whole brain, and it's in energizing. There's two kinds of ways, there's many ways we get paid, right? Grants, but I like to think of it as either a per person fee or a flat rate. Even my flat rate fee menu says if it's over this many people, the price goes up. Some of us have been using the split. Maybe it's a 70-30 split. I get 70%, the venue gets 30%. Anybody doing splits out there? What I like about this split, oh good, is it's a shared marketing. So I'm working with a venue that has their email list. Let's just say it's a center for spiritual living, it's a church, or it's a yoga studio, or it's the rec center in your community. Now they have their email list, which is really great. Even if only 10 people enroll in my class, I ask them, how many people do you mail this out to? And they say, oh, like 3,000. Okay, I just got UpBeat Drum Circle's name in front of 3,000 people in my community. That's really great. So shared marketing comes from splitting with a venue. Typical split might be 50-50, 60-40, 70-30. Deb can maybe post what kind of split she's doing because she raised her hand. Let's talk about the money. I think most corporate team building programs range from $1,000 to $5,000, depending on the number of people, of course. I mean, we did a gig for Panda Express. How many people? 1,600 people. Mm-hmm. We had a morning gig for Panda Express with a lot of people, so the price went up. Home care and in the healthcare world, I'm hearing people are charging $100 to $150 for like an hour program in a senior home, but many people, especially in health rhythms, are making a living full-time doing health rhythms in everything from the continuum of care of seniors. That could be a senior home, that could be a day center for adults, and many of them are contracted. I go 2 times a month, this is the fee. Recovery centers are typically paying more, I'm finding, from the people I coach, and they're typically a 90-minute program. And some of these rates are going to change by your area, your country. Schools, I don't know. I'd like some of you to post if you're working in schools. I believe there's often grants, and I believe there's after-school funding. Now let's talk about workshops, wellness programs. Let's say if it's a per person fee rate, I've been seeing 15 to 25. And I wanted to highlight a program I do. I'm now on my 7th year, and some of you have live streamed with me on the winter solstice. Last year, we grossed $4,000. We had 170 people paying $20 to $25. We had an early bird rate and a late rate. And I partnered in a 50-50 split with the largest spiritual center in my community. So I paid out of my 2K split $600 for my sound person, my my performers. So I made $1,400 for one night. And that was a 2-hour program, 170 people. And also great publicity, because I'm in front of the people that will book me all year long. People often come up to me afterwards and want my business card, want to get in touch with me. Do you come to other centers? So you guys know those things. We're thinking differently now. We're not just thinking transactional. No, we're thinking marketing, right? So not just transaction, but who gets to meet me in this event? Here's the poster for that program. So yeah, I paid my sound person, I paid 3 other performers, and it's on its 7th year. So the money I spent building this poster, you just cut and paste and change it every year. I'm also noticing some of you out there using Eventbrite. This is a platform that might not be in every country, but look at these names: Sacred Rhythms Healing Drum Circle. So people are starting to use these drum circles. I would have changed these titles. I like Healing Rhythms better. I like Sacred Rhythms. I would have changed these titles, but I'm just pointing out that people are using Eventbrite. It's a platform that takes a percentage. That way they can pre-sell tickets to their programs. I'm seeing more and more people doing a price for the ticket and a price for the drum rental, an additional $5. I also think tip number 7, And then I'm going to hand it to my special guests in a minute here, after we do a quick rumble break, maybe. It's important to up-level your skills. And I'm excited that, and these are just the programs I know about, I'm sure there's more, but we launched music medicine with a certificate through UCLA Arts and Healing. Health Rhythms has a program, Village Music Circles. Remo has an endorsed facilitation program. We're starting to find more and more ways. Mary Talina has a program for drumming, the business of drumming in business. So we're starting to learn how to up-level our skills, both our facilitation and our business skills. And I can't say enough about how great it is that we have a DCFG. We have a guild, we should all belong to it. We get our own page on it. It's more credibility. They have a conference every year. These things are important in your business because there's like, usually you're the only one doing it in your community. How many of you are in that situation? Raise your hand if you're in the situation where you're the only one doing this kind of work in your community, right? So when you go to those conferences, you start to go like, oh, I got revived. That's another thing about the trainings. We get to be together. It's exciting. Okay, so let's just take a breath. That was good. I timed it right on the money. Okay, I'm just going to read out a couple of the great names that I saw posted because right now we're going to be, and then John Scalisi, you're getting on first. I like seeing what people are working, their human potential. This is their niches. Great to see these. Okay, I want to look at some of these. Oh, here's a great idea from Jenny Swerdlow. You can do your vision board on a drum head. Brilliant, it is a circle. Music from the heart. I like some of these titles. Team Beat, Life Beat, Joy Beat, One Beat. Great. Nice branding, Jenny. Rhythmic connections, the rhythm of leadership, pathways to learning. Nice. Keep the beat for mental health, drumming up a better brain. Wow, that's brilliant. Rhythm pure. Rhythm pure. Who is Ricarda Rabi? Where are you? I see. Okay, I'm going to unmute you. Where are you calling from, Spotlight?
I'm calling from Berlin. Hello to everybody.
Where are you calling from?
One more. Now you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, wonderful. My name is Ricarda and I'm calling from Berlin.
Wow. Rhythm pure. I like your name.
Thank you very much.
Dankeschön.
But it's only the subtitle.
Yes. What's the main title?
We never found a nice translation. My company called, or the name of my company is Lust auf Trommeln. It seems fancy to drum. But not really typical for I know.
That's great. There's words in certain languages that we can't really like easily translate. I always talk about junka in Japan. It's a very special word that means a circulating, but you can't really translate it in, you would have to give a whole speech. So I totally understand. If I was to make a business in Japan, it would be junka rhythms and everybody knows it. So, but I like rhythm pure. Alive with music, beautiful. Facilitated rhythm events, interactive. Realize your rhythm is great. Realize your rhythm with a capital your. Recently, I attended some marketing classes with Sounds True, and they were telling me that whenever the title you or for your is in the title, it sells the book better. So realize your rhythm is great. Tapping into human potential is a great play on words. I'm seeing lots of buzzwords. Joie de vie. Thank you again. Ricarda? Okay. I have a question from Eric Olson. How would you define that line where the cost goes up? So I'll come to that later. All right, so let's go to our special tips. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to find John Scalisi and unmute him. And
How's it going?
Now I need timing. Okay, I need 2 minutes on the clock. Okay, hold on 1 second.
2 minutes.
I'm going to show your slide. Okay. I'll have to remember how to do this real quick.
Can you hear me?
I want to promote you guys. Yes, I hear you. So here's who we're going to hear from next. John Scalisi. Look at this beautiful website. Interactive rhythm programs. Get rhythm. Realize your rhythm. Okay, go ahead, John. You're on.
Wow. Hey, everybody. It's good to be here. I'm going to be as concise as I can. I try to think about a couple of points. I always give something away at my programs, and I give people a bracelet that says realize your rhythm, and it doesn't have my website or anything like that. I don't want to use it for that, but it does have my logo on there, but it's mainly for them to remember the event so that it's embedded in them, because I see people wearing these things for years and years. They're pretty cheap, and I just keep bags and bags of them, and I put them out with my other products and things like that. Adults take them, kids take them, everywhere. So I always try to give something away. Okay. Speaking of giving away, when I first started, I did a lot of gigs for free because nobody knows who you are. People knew who I was, but they knew who I was in a different circle. But they didn't know what I did. So I had to give it away. Retreat centers, things like that, school functions. So I had to give it away. But when I did give away things, I always made sure that I had my contact information there so that people could remember it and call back. And I still do a few free things now because it's important. What you give away comes back to you. So this is a snapshot of my website, and it's a sumo postcard. So it's got team building, leadership, youth, and I'm reading it backwards, youth and adult activities, special events. And then there's a little sidebar that says program applications. Like, what can you use this for? So it's like, when you go places, people put this in their file and they pull it out. And if it's an activities director or something like that, they pass it on. They pass it on to the next person. And I get called back from, years and years and years for the same programs. Always have an email list. It can be very simple. Put your logo at the top. Please sign our email list, write legibly, and start collecting emails and send out a newsletter. And don't try to cram everything into your monthly or bi-monthly newsletter. As a matter of fact, I've even started doing mine bi-monthly. Just let people know that you're there. What have you done that's new? What do you have to offer? By the way, if you don't have a use for this newsletter, please forward it to someone who might.
Okay, your time is up. This is I'm going to start time. That is awesome. Okay, this is how we applaud on Zoom. Everybody give him a rumble hand applause. Just feel that. Is that nice?
That's a hearing impaired rumble also.
It is, right.
Right?
It's
applause.
It's also the digital rumble, digital hand rumble. Applause. John, beautiful.
I wouldn't be.
Oops, hold on. I also asked John to post for us, what do those bracelets cost and where do we get them? Because I'd like to know that, if you don't mind sharing that with us.
Okay.
So post it on the chat bar.
Sure.
All right, I have 6
one more thing.
Okay.
I know. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you and Remo Belli. Bless you. Thank you.
What you give comes back.
Okay. I'll see you later.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Mary Knish. And Mary, let me show you guys her slide. Mary is the founder of Rhythmic Connections, and she lives in Pennsylvania. Awesome. you guys can see her beautiful website. So Mary, let me find you. Music for People, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay. There she is. Unmute and highlight. Your timer is on. Give us one really good tip. And the reason I want to invite Mary on this call is because she's in the East Coast and she's also comes from a very different background than a lot of us, or Music for People and dance movement. So go ahead. What's your business tip for us today?
My business tip, when you asked, I thought, what would be the one thing that for me is the most important? And it's partners in design. For me, working with an organization, whether it's health, education, corporate, the idea that I, of course, know what my deliverables could be, but for me, what's really interesting is making whoever I'm working with, inviting them into the collaboration. So partners in planning, so that you come in and you go, wow, I've got all these things I could do, but you learn as much, and Christine also helped me with this as far as designing it years ago, learning as much about the organization as I could beforehand. Whether if it's education, figuring out what they need, exploring the mission statement if it's a corporate group or a community group, what's their vision about what they would like to have happen. If they've contacted you, they clearly think you have something that will work with whatever their vision is for the event. And for me, the best part is co-creating something. I always learn something new from whoever I work with. And for me, that's where a lot of these programs have really evolved. I'm working with Drum Circles Expanded, and in education, it's Orphan, so I can find out where their interest is, what their needs are, help them co-create the design together. And then I'll give, of course, the why. Why ask them, why would they like to do this? What's important to them and their vision? And share my why. Why do I feel like this is beneficial, and why do I do this in my life? So we kind of go at the core of what we believe in and love. Then just laying out, as design partners, you go through the logistics of location, space, sound issues for the space. I always ask that. Number of participants. Oh, that's mine. Room setup, the timing, the outline, and instruments. So really, for me, design partners, partnering with whoever you're working with.
Let's give her a rumble. Thank you. That was really inspiring. Brilliant comments, brilliant teachings. Okay, isn't this fun, you guys? I love all of you coming in on this call, has made it so exciting. Jenny Swerdlow, let me show you Jenny's beautiful slide I made for her today as I introduce Jenny, whose company is called Drum in San Francisco. Here's her fabulous homepage. I love that she has her credentials after her name and an adorable photo. Please welcome Jenny. Let me get out of the screen share real quick. Hold on one second. Jenny, are you unmuted? Let me unmute you. There she is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey. Thanks, Christine, and hi, everybody. It's really exciting to be here. I founded my company 18 years ago and have been sharing my love and passion of drumming in lots of different settings. And the last few years have really been trying to break into the corporate world, which there's a lot of here in the Bay Area. And there's a lot of people here in the Bay Area that are doing drum circles. And, you know, for me, it's how do I set myself apart? How do I convey that I'm an expert? And Christine, you talked about, you know, being professional and how do we find a balance between, you know, being professional, using the right language, figuring out correct compensation, and also conveying the playful nature and the fun and the spirit of what we do. So I've really done a lot of research reaching out to other professionals, friends who work in the corporate sector, friends who do other kinds of team building, people who do web design and search engine optimization, and really just gathering a lot of information that I then can take back to my website, the language I use to describe my programs, how I talk about and convey value to people in the corporate sector. And then how can I take those experiences and maximize them by documenting with photography, creating short video vignettes that I can put on my website or send to a client? How can I get great testimonials from, clients at Google and Facebook and eBay that further reinforces the value of my services? So just really trying to stay up with the trends in business and marketing, and continue to try and have fun and learn and grow in the process. Yes.
Let's give her a big rumble. Fabulous suggestions, Jenny, breaking into Google, Facebook. Wow. Such a groundbreaking person who's raising the brand for all of us. And I love her credentials there as well. Deborah is next, and let me show you her screen of her company. Nice name, the Mother Tree Rhythm Circles in Edmonton, Canada. And I wanted to invite Deborah to be on this call to share her expertise, because I feel like her growth has been really organic and community driven. And also I wanted to bring in a Canadian perspective. So Deborah, you are up. I'll start the timer and unmute you. And there you are. Go girl, tell us your tip.
Hello everybody. One of the biggest things that I have come to realize is that although I started organically, as you put it, I didn't even know what a drum circle was when I actually did my first drum circle without knowing that that's what it was called. But the biggest learning I have, and I've been doing this now for almost 6 years when I very first started, and what I've really come to realize is that you need background stuff in place, like administration. Christine has taught me that that is very, very critical. And so because I was running by the seat of my pants, I was busy, I'm gigging all the time. I actually left my job at the university to do this full time. And it was a great job I had. And so to actually leave a profession to jump into what I'm doing now has been the biggest adventure of my life, and I would not look back. So now the administration part, if you're just starting out, hire somebody, because what used to take me 15 hours a month and drive me absolutely insane takes an admin maybe an hour, 2 hours to do what it was and to get it done. And now I have all of that in place. And my database is sorted out into different groups of who I do events with, and program development as I work through different things and really learning from professionals. To get into drum circle facilitation, I cannot stress enough how important it is to go to trainings from professionals, learn the techniques, learn some skills. Like Christine, I have learned oodles from, and village music circles, rhythm to recovery. So many people are offering their expertise. Read lots of books, practice, practice, practice. And at the very beginning, I was giving away things too, giving away programs and testing them. What I do now is I test the market. I go into schools and say, hey, can I try this new protocol and see how it works, and then grow from that and get their feedback. And so much so now that I've developed a program for nature reconnection using music as a modality. And it's been highly successful, and I have now currently joined a new group called the Terra Wisdom Center, where I will be offering programs and courses in nature reconnection using music.
Okay,
And
your time
I
is up.
find that
But I wanted to just ask you, what's the name of your nature reconnection drumming program?
it's just a nature reconnection contact, but it is reconnecting to ourselves through rhythm.
Nice. Give her a big love, you guys. That was really awesome advice, what you just rolled through, and especially how she networked with an organization. Again, they have their house, their database, their admin people. She just pops into that and she accesses thousands of people that are part of that network, which is brilliant. Okay, our next presenter, Mary Tolina, is calling in from somewhere in a van. She's our famous drum about woman. Let me share her slide. She's also the founder of Rhythm Lift. And there she is, Inspired Dynamic Learning. And here I will hand it over to you, Mary Tolina. She's also starting a course right now. Some of you are probably in it on business, drumming in business. So go, Mary.
Yes, hello, I'm calling from Bozeman, Montana. I'm out on my drum about and left Seattle last week, and I'm cruising through the western states this fall and winter. The thing I wanted to add to what other people have said is the importance of really focusing on what we're most passionate about in this work, and then translating that, those outcomes that we want, the difference, the change that we want to help create, into language that makes sense for your target clients. So for instance, if you want an organization to pay you, which could be a corporation, it could be a CIR, it could be a nonprofit, any organization, if you want a check written from the organization, you need to understand what their purpose is.
Mary, we're all having a really hard time hearing you. You kind of sound like you're underwater. There's maybe a background. Just maybe select your audio.
Let's see. Let's go to somebody else and I'll come back. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Let me mute you and we'll come back to you after you tech out over there. Figure out what is going on. Weird. Okay. So then, I don't know. Is John Crowder on this call? John, are you here? Let me look. I bet this is John.
Zero, can you hear me?
Yes, I was hoping this is you. Okay,
Yes,
hold on.
I'm here.
John, let me just pop up your screen. You're not seeing it, but it's really lovely. I made you this nice little keynote screen. Let me just screen share with the people that can see it. And introducing John Crowder to you guys. He's an amazing person who left the field of law to be the founder of Peak Rhythms, recently booked his most ginormous corporate program ever at Vail Resorts. He also started team building with sports teams. So I'm handing it to you now, John. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me all right? I'm also sitting in my van, but I'm so I hope it's coming through more clearly. It's great to be on the call, and big love to all y'all across the world, sharing your hearts and your music and everything with everybody. So my couple tips, and I'm still learning. I started the company in October. That'll be 15 years that we started the company. So couple tips. First tip one, if you get an email or somebody comes to you and says, hey, for 50 people or 75 or 100 or 200, how much for a 1 to 2 hour program? I view that as an opportunity to talk and begin a relationship. I've learned not to just quote a fee. And particularly, I also have learned the value of phone calls and talking to people directly, so they can hear your voice and you can talk to them. And then I have a client information sheet that I've developed, and you can develop your own, but some of the things on there are things like date and time of the program, location, number of people, description of the group, programs for the group coinciding with the program, themes for the meeting, conference, retreat, etc., that sort of thing. And so I like Remo's quote that all selling is teaching. I would the balance to that, I would suggest, is all selling is listening also. So when I start the conversation, I like to say, can you tell me about your group, or how did you hear about us also, or what are you looking for, activity? And then to really, Mary Nish touched on this, to really learn as much as you can about the client and the group. And just everything you can learn about them and understand them, and then to share more about some of the published scientific research, the fun, the meaningful tiebacks, to help distinguish it from, this is not just a drum lesson, we're creating tiebacks, there's published scientific research supporting it, to help educate folks as to what we're providing and the benefits. So I'm still learning with that, but that process is interesting. Couple tips in that process. One, pay attention to where you're comfortable or uncomfortable in that process, in terms of where do you feel comfortable speaking about something, or have clear answers, or can help guide or offer input. And the second thing I do is, sometimes during that conversation, I'll quote a fee. And I've learned sometimes I quote a fee and then I'll just kind of talk to them, how does that sound? And I've also been sometimes just asking them, well, what's your budget? And then I've had people just be open with me in terms of conversation about that. And the other thing I'll say is, well, let me send you a proposal. And I'll send also proposals with options sometimes. So program options and fee options. The last tip I want to suggest is, don't confuse your value with the perception of value of what you're offering. The perception of value of drumming and things like that, Christine touched on this, that we have to overcome some challenges about that. Your value is infinite and great and grand. And I used to quote fees and people say, oh, that sounds too much, and I would feel down. But I've learned now that my value is huge and infinite as a human being. And so the perception of value of the programs is distinct from that. So, and that's an important tip to tell me, and I hope that'll help you. So I hope that's all helpful, and I give you a big rumble heartbeat to everybody out there and all the great work you're doing in the world.
I can't hear anything. Ah. Hello? Hello? Oh no, I can't hear anything.
I can hear you.
Oh, can you?
Yes.
Hi. Can everybody else hear me? Christine, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh yeah. Hi. Hi, everybody. I feel so honored to be here. Thank you very much, Christine, for inviting me. You guys have all said everything, but aside from that, I can't hear you, so I'm just going to talk. Tell me, just go like this when I'm supposed to stop. One of the main things that I've learned in the last, holy smokes, since 2000 or 1990 somewhere or other, is as Christine says, you got to have product. You got to have product. So fortunately, my friend Mary Knish and I wrote this book, and that's my product so far. I haven't got other stuff, but 1, 2, Let's All Play is our book that we wrote for music and movement activities for children, and I use it everywhere. I take it everywhere. I work mostly now working with the elderly, and I've been doing some training for rec therapists, and I just came back from a weekend doing it this weekend, and I brought out the book, and I actually did, on Christine's recommendation, a couple of the activities in the book that could be translated and used with the elderly, and it was great. One thing I have done recently is hire a fellow who does all my tech work, and he's done some fantastic. He's a videographer, a photographer. He's an Apple wizard, and he's been fantastic. I'm sorry, but my choir is singing in the next room. If you can hear it, I'm supposed to be over there, but I'm out in the hall, so it's a little. The one thing is that I think it's really important that Christine's also helped me with is looking after myself, going to a gig way before and getting set up really well and getting it all set up and then taking off and going to the bathroom or somewhere where I can just get grounded and just think, like, just be calm before, because it's pretty exciting when you're, doing any event, and I just try and calm myself down. And the last thing was sipping tea. Oh, okay. I don't know where the sound's gone. Thank you. Oh, now I can hear. You're there, Mary.
Yes, I'm here. Let's see. Let me start talking to Sue. Where's the Sue? Okay, well, I guess I'll just say, so what I was talking about was the importance of being able to speak the language of the organization that you are hoping to get paid from. Whether it's a school or a healthcare setting or a corporation or a nonprofit.
Mary,
yes.
It's really hard to hear you, but maybe type in the chat bar your advice, because we can't hear you. Yeah, it's for some reason it sounds like when you have a guitar plugged into distortion. So just type your facilitation tip into the chat bar and we'll read it to the group. Okay, and my job is to wrap up the call in the meantime, which is exciting because this has been a great call. You guys have had lots of great suggestions. Just a quick reminder from me that we are going to send you a coupon because you've been on this call with us today to my new online self-study course, The 4 Keys to Creating a Successful Drum Circle Business. And I made a really great, it's 8 segments. It's got a handout, like a workbook for you to walk through what I feel so blessed to have learned from my mentors. And so many of us have been shouting out on the chat bar, like, oh, I'm just realizing how many great people I've worked with. Like, I'm listening to these numbers, you guys. I've been in business 18 years, 15 years, 12 years, even 6 years. In 6 years, Deborah's making these giant alliances with the Nature Foundation, which what I want to point out about that is it's right in her wheelhouse. So again, back to knowing what's your expertise and landing there. So if you have a background in law, knock on some doors of the law groups. And if you have a background in art therapy, bring that forward. Lulu has a background in ORF and Mary, and so they have a book for educators. I'm so glad you guys brought up products. I didn't even think of that, and that's such a great point. John Scalisi has the facilitation cards. So I hope this has been helpful, and you guys might think about how you could stay in touch with me in my work coaching you. I do private coaching, mentoring. We'll have mentoring, monthly mentoring next year will start in February, and the mastermind will start in January. We take a smaller group of mastermind people. And I'm just so grateful for our guests, for these 7 guests that came on this call. I'm looking for Mary's, if you could type in your thought, I could read it to the whole group. And this really is where it happens, is that my advice, tune into the purpose of the organization you're talking to. They will pay for services that help them achieve their purpose, whether it's educating people, healing people, creating products or services, etc. Then describe the outcomes of your rhythm program to show how your circle helps those programs. Exactly. Very well spelled out. So on behalf of UpBeat Drum Circles, me and Andrew want to say it was really great seeing you all over the world. And I know a lot of people are going to watch this call afterwards. If you would just post your 1 word of what you're taking away from today's call, we'd love it to be your action step. Post your action step. What's your action step you're going to do when you leave this call? Not just, I feel inspired. That's awesome. I love that you feel inspired. But what's your action step? Just think about for a second, tune into what's an action step you got from this call. I got an action step for sure. which is to make a client page. I think that's a really great suggestion. And also I got the idea of I want to follow up with Deborah about the nature group. Product, good. Give something away. Oh, it's just fun to see all of these, you guys. I'm going to read them to the people that are listening. Here's the action steps. Product, vision board, find something to give away. Product. Look like we need to do another seminar on how to make product. Include content in my college course on music improv. Vision board, define my larger vision. Ooh, email list. Start collecting testimonials at the end of the group. Wonderful! Let's unmute all, and let's close with a big rumble. Everybody get your drum. What would a call be without a rumble? Thank our presenters, Mary Tolina, Jenny Swerdlow, Deborah Bortiker, John Crowder, John Stevie, who am I forgetting? Jenny Swerdlow. Awesome, you guys, for getting on the call and offering your advice to the group. That's very generous. We are a generous team.
Yay, Christine.
My favorite posting.
You're fabulous.
My favorite posting from John Scalisi. I forgot my drum. But
I'm using my tea bag.
But my stomach is rumbling from hunger. That is great. All right, you guys, do your homework. See you at the mentoring program online. Take advantage of my offer. And
Bye, Mary.
Happy drumming.
John.
See you later. Bye, John Crowder.
See you, Big John. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This is awesome.
Bye, everybody.
This is awesome. Thank you
Love
guys
you all.
very, very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.